Okay, I've got a couple things taken care of. It's a quick update. Coming around, I already had the bed off, but I started de-icing. Took out the old gas tank, which wasn't in the factory location. The factory location was actually over there, so this was an aftermarket gas tank. It was over there, but won't be needing that anymore. Got to make room for some batteries though. Pulled the drive shafts, and I also took off the transmission and the transfer case. Kind of a neat thing on these, if you look in here, the way the transmission works, you've got these two levers coming in, and if you push it to the right, it engages this top lever, which takes you to first and second, and then you got to have that one in neutral, and then if you push it, or sorry, if you push that one to the left, if you push this one to the right, you've got third gear forward and reverse back whenever you pull on it, and then again to go to first or second you gotta have that one in neutral, and then regular transfer case comes in over here. So the way I did this is the cross member was 8 9/16 bolts. You can see where it was a little rusty there coming in, so I disconnected those and pulled out these 4 5/8 bolts so that would be loose, and then I took the whole thing and slid it backwards and down, making sure I was keeping the engine supported so that could come out. I did that so that I'll be able to make a 3D model of the adapter I'm going to use to go from the Nissan Leaf motor back into this transmission. Here's the transmission and transfer case that I pulled out. It looks white because I sprayed it with dry shampoo actually to get a white film on it. The 3D scanner I used works better on light colors than it does dark colors. So you can see the shaft coming out here. This is what I'm going to use as center of a clutch disc in order to make a coupler there. And then I scanned all the face, mostly just to locate those 4 bolt holes, and then took some measurements with the caliper so I could design that up in CAD. And I'm going to 3D print it and see if it fits, and if it fits, I'm going to send the files over to the machine shop and they're going to make it for me. Coming around, this would be the front as we had it before. You can see the 2 levers over here. So this one's going to be your first and second, and then third and reverse. And I'm going to separate the transfer case. It feels pretty good. I might crack it open and look at it, but I don't think I'm going to have to do a rebuild on this. I'll probably just pretty it up. Going to pull it off the cross member here, replace these bushings, and I might beat on the cross member just a little bit. It's taking a little bit of a lick. You can see this is supposed to be uniform all the way across, and something hit it here. But the big thing I'm going to be working on today is taking this bad boy apart so that I can get some measurements off of where this is kind of like the transmission of an electric car. It's just a single speed reducer. So I'm going to be seeing where this bolts on in these locations so that I can map that out on CAD to make my adapter for this side. And the way this is broken out is the way we're looking at it right now would be from the left side of the car. So this would be the rear of the car. You've got like I said, your kind of transmission here. The motor is actually only from here to here, and then you've got an inverter which takes the power and controls what's going into the motor. Here it gets the 2-phase DC from the PDM, the power distribution module. That's this top portion. It gets a 2-phase, and then it converts it to 3-phase AC for the motor to actually work. Down here on both sides you can see where the half shafts will be coming out, but obviously I'm not going to be using that since I'm going to go into a transmission. So it's going to be oriented 90 degrees differently to the way that it was in the Nissan Leaf. And then up here, one of the reasons that I went with the Leaf is because of this PDM with the Resolve EV controller. I should be able to utilize this, and I've got some wires that I can splice on over here so that I can use a factory charging port and everything. But I should be able to take this PDM and be able to charge from it. It's got the DC to DC, so I can still charge my 12-volt battery since I don't have a an alternator on this, and that should make my life a whole lot simpler, utilizing it with a Nissan Leaf battery pack too, so that all my battery management system and everything is all going to be native, and I'm not going to have to outsource any of that. So get started on the tear down here in a little bit. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on it because Benjamin Nelson already did a great job explaining the tear down. I don't think I'm going to crack the top cover off just to keep the gasket intact though. I think watching his video that we probably don't have to do that, so let's get started. Okay, I'm going to get started by taking off the all the wires that are connecting the different parts, mostly just the wiring pieces that are tying this together. So I feel like most of them are clips just like this, and you can take a flathead and just push it on this black piece. There's actually an arrow pointing to it, making it pretty easy, and then it should slide right off. There we go. So now that one's free. That's just going to hang. You can look, this is, I believe, what comes back to the main battery power. So I'm just going to let that hang. We'll pull it off with a PDM. For the ones that are like this, it's a squeeze. So you just take a pair of pliers and see if I can get this on camera. Squeeze that together. You should be able to pull that out. Not really expecting most of those to survive.
On this side we got a few more things to deal with. So for this clip, there's just two little places you can push in with the flathead there and work that off kind of even. And then that one, go ahead and squeeze that clip and work it out of the bracket there. Doing just like the other ones that we saw. There we go. That is free. We've got this one free. This little transmission breather line I'm not going to worry about for now because I'm not going to be reusing any of that. Hopefully there's no coolant in here, but we'll see.
That we're interested in on this side is going to be behind that black cover right there. I believe those bolts are 10 millimeters. We'll certainly find out. Looks like it. Pull those out. Pull this cover off. Oh, it's actually got a little spring in there, spring loaded. It probably won't run without it. I'd say that's probably some micro switch back there that trips to make sure that you've got that plug installed. And then we've got our bus bars come up from the inverter into the PDM on that side. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab those. Check and make sure it's 13 millimeter. It is. So pretty short bolts. Sure, I'll drop them in there. Now it looks like we've got this side pretty well disconnected. So on this side, what would originally been the front side of the engine, this is the last clip that I was talking about. So it's just a squeeze. So you give it a squeeze, it'll unlock, and that'll pop out. That's for the parking brake there. I just cut these because I couldn't get behind them. Didn't want to take the brace off because I'm not going to be able to use those clamps anyways. And then around we've got, this goes into our resolver. It's another squeeze and pop off. Then I'll cut this clamp. There we go. And then we're going to have our coolant hoses, and that should have this side done. Okay, now we're around to our last side. So we're going to start on the right. Just pop this clip. And then that one I'm going to go ahead and take the bracket off. Can't get to it. Stick these bolts back in here for safekeeping. It's the easiest way to remember what your bolts go to. Put them back where they belong until you need to use them again, or I use this method sometimes. You grab a Ziploc, make sure I know what it's going to. Throw the date on there, because sometimes it's kind of fun to remember how long it's been since you took something apart. We're also going to have to take this cover off on this side. Still 10 millimeters. Pull it off, and then we've got this square clip in here. This should be like a lever. Push up on the bottom, and you can pull that whole lever out, and then this is going to be a twist, and then straight down, and then you've got the entire engine wiring harness free here. Put that down out of the way. Looks like we've got one last clip there. Go ahead and cut that one. And now we should be able to start taking our bolts out. Alright, so all these look like they're 13 millimeters, and I think there's 6 holding it on. Looks like it's just on the right and left side. So we're here on the right side that we just left. I already broke these loose with a ratchet. So we'll just take those out. So far, both of those are the same length. And then that one's the same length as well. While we're over here, I'm going to go ahead and put this cover back on as well. We've got a little lip that comes down and hooks underneath, and slides back up. Take the black bolt out from the top, and the silver bolt out from the bottom. And throw that on the lowest torque setting, and just run those until they're snug. And on the left side, got one bolt up here. Looks exactly the same as the other side. One here. And another one that might be hiding behind that. That off. And then we should be free. Let's see, push up. Soft on that side. Looks like it's soft on this side. So this whole thing should just lift off. Unless there's something else holding it on the other side. lifting up on it straight. So now we've got our power distribution module off. For the inverter, it looks like there's 3 13mm bolts on each side, left and right, of the way the motor was originally oriented. So we're over here on the left side. I'm going to take these 3, already loosen them with a socket. And then we'll go to the right side. Over here on the right side, we've got 3 more 13mm. Just one hiding behind this clip right here. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to be using a security T30 bit. You can see it's a regular star shape, but then it's also got a little pin in the middle. And so the bit that you need has a hole in the middle. It matches up with that pin. So get that going. Get that one out. This one. Pull this off. And then there's a little gasket on the back of it, so probably want to make sure that you don't lose that. And then we've got 3, look to be 13mm in there again. I'll drop that. Here's 1. 2. And 3. And now this whole assembly should pop off as well. Let's see if it's loose. Flip we're loose on that side. And we're loose on this side. So let's see if we can pick up on it. Now we're here on the back side of the motor again, and we're going to prep it to take off the transmission. So again, I've already loosened these, but I've got 16mm bolts. We're holding this bracket on, and it looks like this bracket's covering up one of the bolts that I need to get to in order to get the transmission off. So there we go. Looks like we got 5 of those. This is where I just took off that supporting bracket. We're going to have 3 16mm back behind here. Helps if you go in the right direction. 1. And 2. And for number 3, I don't think I can really get anything in there. So pull it out by hand. And in the meantime, if you look at the difference, the short bolt here on the right is what was holding on that bracket, and the long bolt on the left are all identical to what was going there into that transmission. I'm on the left side of the motor. First off, I'm going to take off the bracket here just to lighten it up a little bit. These are 4 18mm bolts. There we go. Just to gain some access there. And then I've got 3 more 16mm bolts on this side. Got 1 down here. Maybe easier to get to with an extension. This is not how loose these are. I've already come through and broke these loose. Looks just like the ones coming in through the other side. Got 1 here. And another one up top. hopefully we're in 2 pieces now. We'll check to see if we're loose there. Okay, I cut off the banding that they had on the pallet to hold it together, and it looks like it's wanting to come off. Just gonna have to get a good straight pull on it. There we go. There we are without our transmission. So this is all there actually is to the motor. It's not super big, as you can see. I mean, there's a regular flathead screwdriver, so you can tell it's not huge. I'm going to take this bracket off. It's going to be 4 more 18mm bolts. I can see there. Might go ahead and lose the rest of the brackets just to keep it trim. This looks like it's going to be a good place right here on the left hand side, the way I'm going to have it oriented in my application, to put a motor mount. But unfortunately, we were walking around, this side was the front. It doesn't look like there's a great place for a motor mount, so I might have to fabricate a bracket coming from some of those structural holes there and come down and locate a motor mount over here. But you can see, if you're trying to identify these, it's marked EM57 there. So let's got that broken down. Now let's get these brackets off, clean it up a little bit.